Welcome, travelers, to my realm of nightmares. Allow me to be your personal assistant. Come in, take a seat, get comfortable. For when you step into my realm, there's no stepping out.
I worked there part-time for a little over 2 years. During that time, I've had to deal with my fair share of bullshit. However, none of it was as bad as what happened on my final shift. For the first year of my job, I had worked the day shift. That changed when my boss asked me if I wanted to try working at night. Since I was low on funds and admittedly curious about what it was like, I agreed. For the most part, it was a pain in the ass. I'd have to work off the clock because there wasn't enough time to do everything. The only silver lining is that I got to take home the food that was going to be tossed. Plus, I didn't have to deal with customers aside from the occasional one who would show up right before closing. I would say it was an environment that could be pretty chill sometimes. When I got into a rhythm of finishing my tasks, it could be quite cathartic on occasion. Although, the fact that I was only getting paid minimum wage took away from that aspect, not to mention that eerie feeling that only comes with night shift. If you've worked a night shift at any fast food place or a convenience store, you probably know what I mean. Sure, you can get the same feeling from the night shift of a bigger place, but fast food night shifts are different. For one, there are fewer people, which means being more vulnerable. The other reason is that should you get in danger, there aren't as many hiding spots as, say, a grocery store. Anyway, I'll stop with this long-ass intro and get to what happened on my last shift. It was me and an assistant manager who I got along well with. His name was Ray. He was on the drive-thru while I worked the back line. I was busy cleaning while he counted money. As I was wiping everything down, he called my attention. "Alvin, since we're only like 10 minutes from closing, you can go ahead and start breaking everything down. You don't need to worry about customers. They usually never show up at this." The sound of a bell, indicating a customer in the drive-thru, sounded from the speaker. Ray rolled his eyes and threw his head back. Then put on the headset and hit the button so he could talk to the customer. "Hello, welcome to Arby's. I hope you're having a pleasant evening. How may we help you?" We waited for the customer's response over the speaker. They didn't say anything. The next thing we knew, we had a car speeding through the parking lot. It was too dark for us to fully make out their vehicle. Nick turned back to me and shrugged. He told me to proceed with breaking down the back line. I was going to when the bell sound was heard again. Ray answered it, repeating the phrase he had previously. The same thing as before happened. Only this time, we were able to catch a better glimpse of the vehicle, which seemed to be red. The third time this happened, Ray was once again professional, albeit with a hint of restrained annoyance in his voice. When it happened the fourth time, said restraint understandably left his voice entirely. He damn near broke the button when he pressed it. Instead of putting the headset on, he held the microphone part to his mouth, then yelled what he said next into it, loud enough to wake the dead. "Hello! Can we help you?" When the customer drove off again, the couple moments of silence that followed were awkward to say the least. He stood by the window, taking deep breaths in order to relax. Should I continue breaking down the line? I asked. Ray glanced at the clock. It showed we only had a few minutes until closing. Take the trash out for now. If any orders come in, I'll handle them. But I swear, if that asshole shows up again, I'm ignoring them. Once the trash within the building was bagged, I put them in a large trash bin and wheeled them out the back door. I made sure to put down the stopper so it wouldn't close on its own. You'd think after a year on the night shift, I'd no longer get the sense of danger that comes from taking out the trash alone. That was not the case. In fact, that feeling was stronger than it had been. I'm not psychic or anything like that, but I couldn't shake off this weird sensation in my gut. Maybe it was because of what happened with that customer. In the back of my mind, I might have been considering the possibility that they weren't mentally stable and could potentially harm us. Despite this, I took the trash to the dumpster. The door leading to it let out a loud creak as I pulled it open. As I was getting ready to wheel the trash bin back inside, I saw the car. It was by itself under a streetlight. I thought if the driver was trying to be inconspicuous, they weren't doing a very good job. There was something off about the driver that I couldn't quite put my finger on from that distance. When the door opened, I realized why I got that feeling. My throat went dry, for a lack of a better word. The driver came out of the car. What I noticed first about it was its size. It was a wonder this thing could fit in the car, because it had to be at least 8 feet tall while standing up. The reason I say when standing is due to the fact that it preferred crawling. It crawled on 8 arms. Each of them possessed claws that clicked on the parking lot. Just a glance told me they could literally tear someone to shreds with little effort. Its sickly gray skin stretched over its bony yet somehow massive frame. It focused its sunken-in yellow eyes on me, letting out a moan that sounded akin to a whale noise. My eyes briefly shifted to the back entrance before I made a dash for it while pushing one of the trash bins. The way its claws scraped against the parking lot as it dashed towards me grated on my ears for its size. It was unusually fast. The reason I pushed the trash bin instead of leaving it was so I had something to try and stall it with. When that thing was close enough to me, I made use of it. I pushed the trash bin towards the creature. With so much force, it started tripping as it rolled. Caught off guard by this, the monster didn't have time to move away. The trash bin went over it. I could hear noises conveying frustration as it was trying to get off. Sprinting towards the exit, I shouted for Ray. "Alvin, is something..." His voice trailed off as his eyes widened when he noticed it. "What in the hell is that?" "Close the door! Close the fucking door!" I said once I had run back inside, having bumped into him in the process. The creature had torn through the trash bin, then, after shaking off pieces stuck to its claws, started running towards the back entrance. Ray cursed loudly, undid the stopper with his foot, and slammed the door shut as it was leaping at us. A loud thud echoed through the door as it was slammed. The monster attempted ramming into it repeatedly until it gave up and skittered away. "Okay, that was unusual," Ray said. From his tone of voice, I could tell he hadn't fully processed what he had just seen. I hadn't either, nor did I want to. I would have been content to brush this off had a realization not hit me. "Oh, shit! The lobby," I said. No sooner than I had spoken those words did we hear pounding on one of the windows. Knowing we only had seconds until it was inside, we thought fast and chose a spot to hide. We picked a walk-in fridge. We put the holding oven in front of it to hide it from view. We would have ran out the back door into Ray's car if it weren't for the fact that it was parked too far away. Not only that, to reach it, we'd have to pass the door. Had we tried to, no doubt the creature would have spotted our escape and chased after us. With its speed, catching up to us wouldn't have been a problem for it, so all we could do was hide out in the walk-in fridge. We sat on some boxes, making sure to keep our noise level to a minimum. "So, what do you think this thing is?" I asked. "An alien? Demon? Escaped government lab experiment?" "Fuck if I know. All I know is I want it as far from us as possible." We could hear it making a mess while searching for us. "God damn it, there goes all the cleaning we already did," Ray said. With how frantic it was searching, we knew it'd only be a matter of time before it found us. The only thing we had to defend ourselves with was a knife that could barely cut lettuce. Needless to say, our situation looked pretty bleak. Neither of us wanted to entertain the idea we might get killed. To get my mind off this, I started pondering possible reasons the monster was after us. "Maybe it is a demon of some kind after all," I said. "What makes you think that?" "Well, I know this goes without saying that this is weird, but isn't it odd that it came to our restaurant specifically? There are plenty of other places on the way here that are still open, so why did it choose here?" Ray seemed to be considering my words. "Maybe it's because we have the meats," he said. Despite our predicament, we shared a small laugh at that. This ceased when an enraged scream reached the walk-in fridge and caused a tense moment of silence to fall over us. "So, is there anything else that would indicate that this thing is a demon or whatever?" Ray asked after a long pause. I thought for a moment. Now that you mention it, what happened at the drive-thru might be another sign. It was. "How do you figure?" "Have you ever heard of any rituals?" "Yeah, mostly in movies." "And do you know how they have weird steps you have to follow?" "What are you getting at?" It got me thinking. What if driving around the restaurant was a ritual, or at least part of one? I know it's a shot in the dark. I've never heard of a ritual that requires someone to drive around a building, but it would explain why it did all that earlier. Not to mention, rituals have a certain phrase or word that's said, like say, "hello." Ray facepalmed when he realized what I was getting at. "So, you're saying I may have cursed. Wait, if it was already multiple-legged and shift, why did it even bother with the drive-thru? Couldn't it have just smashed through the window and came in right away?" "That is true. Honestly, I'm not sure why it didn't do that to begin with. Oh well, the answer to that is something we can worry about if we survive this." "Yeah, I'm feeling super optimistic about our chances. Do you want to try your phone again?" "What's the point?" "We saw it didn't get any service in here. Speaking of which, why don't you try your phone?" "I left it in the lobby." I stopped myself from throwing my head back against the door in frustration. "Okay, so much for being able to call," I said. "Maybe not. Why don't you try walking around? You might get some signal that way." Even though I had my doubts that this would work, I figured trying it was better than sitting around. By some miracle, I was able to get a signal while holding my phone to the top left of the door. "Holy shit, I got it!" Who do you think I should call? The police might take too long. Wait, I got it. Call my phone. Why? The ringtone might distract it long enough for us to escape out the back door. I could hear the monster steadily getting closer to the door. Knowing this and that I could lose signal at any moment, I went along with Ray's plan. It roared upon hearing his ringtone. Then, from what we could hear, dashed towards his phone. Go! Ray said after pushing the walk-in fridge door open. We got so close, we were almost able to escape. Unfortunately, things didn't exactly turn out how we wanted them to. We managed to hit into Ray's car and even start driving off before the monster noticed we were leaving. Unbeknownst to us, however, it was smarter than we thought. Holy fucking shit! I laughed. I'm surprised we managed to make it out of there. The exit to the store was down a long hill that Ray drove along. After exiting the store, he was driving along the road, which the store was above. He would have, of course, turned left, had there not been a buffer between the lanes. Yeah, tomorrow I'm quitting. I'm only going back to get my phone, and then I'm never going. The creature landed on Ray's car, making the windows shatter and the windshield crack. We screamed and Ray jerked the wheel to shake it off. It leaped off his car. Only when it did could we see that we were heading straight for a tree. We crashed into it, causing the airbags to deploy, and both of us to pass out. Oh, my fucking head, I groggily said upon waking up. My blurry vision came into focus. When it did, I saw that I was back in Arby's. If that wasn't bad enough, my arms were chained to the prep table. Fuck! I yelled and heard groaning beside me. I turned to see Ray was coming too. Alvin, is it you? Where are we? He shook his head and took a look around. God damn it! Where'd it get chains? Our store doesn't have any. He yanked on his restraints in a futile attempt to free himself.
That's simple.
We heard a metallic and raspy voice say.
I brought them.
My breath caught in my throat as the creature came into the kitchen. Its eyes were full of anger and also intense focus. Its breath had a strange copper smell to it. Wait, you can talk? I hesitantly asked.
No. What you're hearing right now is an auditory hallucination. Yes, I can talk. I must admit, you were almost able to escape. Almost.
What do you want? Ray asked, trying and failing to keep the fear out of his voice. The claws of its hand clicked against the floor as it scampered over to him. He shuddered as it caressed his face with one of its claws. I was on the edge, knowing it could kill both of us at any moment. My heart nearly stopped when it made a move to stab Ray in the heart, only to stop its hand inches from his chest.
It's not what I want. It's who I want.
It said.
Where is Dennis?
Dennis? I said in confusion. He was our general manager. What this thing wanted with him was beyond me. Why do you want to know that? Ray inquired.
That is not your concern. I know he was supposed to be here now, so I will ask again. Where is he?
It hissed out that last question, revealing its scarlet-colored sharp teeth. Didn't he have an appointment? I asked Ray. Yeah, he replied. That means he's probably at home right now. The creature let out a sigh of annoyance.
Of course he did. I'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
It flashed us a smile and went into the lobby. I turned to Ray. Are we still clocked in? I asked. I'm not sure. The monster came back into the kitchen, holding Ray's phone. What are you going to do with that? He asked.
That should be obvious. I want you to call Dennis and tell him to come here.
What will make you think he will?
He'll have to, since the fryer is broken.
But it's not. In one swift motion, it used its claws to slice the fryer, severing its wires inside and leaving deep claw marks in it. We were too stunned to say anything.
And remember, I can easily do that to the both of you, so I suggest you don't keep me waiting.
Okay, fine, Ray agreed.
Good to hear. Since your phone requires a thumbprint to unlock it, I'll remove your chains. Just remember, if you try and escape, I'll shred you to bits and put them in between some onion rolls with barbecue sauce.
Ray's hands shook as he dialed Dennis's number. The monster waited patiently. As he did so, Ray's phone rang for a while, making me worry that Dennis wouldn't pick up. Thankfully, on the 8th ring he did. Ray, why the hell are you calling me at this hour? He asked clearly, having been woken from sleep based on how he sounded. Sorry, Dennis. There's been a bit of an emergency. Really? What is it? Dennis sounded a little more awake by then. A bear got into the store and wrecked the fryer. Ray, you do realize I can have you fired for trying to pull such an asinine prank on me, right? I'm not joking. I can send you a picture of it. When Dennis saw the picture that Ray sent him, he went ballistic. God fucking damn it, he yelled. How did a bear even get into the store in the first place? It came in the back door while Alvin was taking out the trash. It made a pretty big mess in here. Neither of us were hurt, thankfully. Anyway, what do you want to do about it? If we call for repairs, it might not be fixed before we open. Dennis sighed. How was a bear able to do that much damage to it? Is that even possible? It doesn't matter. I'll be down in a little while. Ray's phone beeped, indicating the call had ended. There, I called him. Can you let us go now? He asked.
Not yet. There's something I need to get done before he gets here. You two will help me get it done faster.
Why should we do that? I asked, raising my voice, to which he gave me a really look and held up one of his claws. Oh, yeah. I can't really tell you much about what he made us do, since I was really tired at that point. Adrenaline only lasts for so long, and when it wears off, after a shift that technically lasted over 10 hours, your eyelids feel heavier than a sack of bricks. What I will say is that it involved us writing some runic symbols with multicolored chalk. These symbols started from the drive-thru and stretched around the store to the parking lot's exit. After that was done, we waited for Dennis in the store.
Remember what I'll do if either of you try any funny business.
the creature said as we heard Dennis's car pulling into the parking lot. He hid in the kitchen, leaving us to do the talking. Okay, we're just leading our boss to his death, I thought. No pressure. None at all. Oh God, there's no way I'm sleeping tonight. God fucking damn it, Dennis yelled from outside with a toolbox in his hand. Yeah, the bear really did a number on the place, Ray said, rubbing the back of his neck. Why didn't you tell me it broke the window? I said it made a big mess, didn't I? There were a few awkward moments of silence before Dennis replied. Whatever, he said, walking past us. I'll see if I can fix the fryer. If not, we'll have to stay closed tomorrow. The tension was high as he pushed open the door to the kitchen, muttering some curses when he saw the mess in it. I was expecting the monster to pounce on him right away. Instead, he was able to make his way to the fryer with no trouble, aside from having to navigate all the clutter. I was confused at this, and exchanged a glance with Ray. His expression was similar to mine, and he shrugged in response. I think if I can solder these wires back together, it should get the fryer working again, in time for us to open. It won't look pretty though. It was when Dennis was crouching down to get a better view of the fryer's insides, did it come out of hiding. As it turned out, it was hiding in the back room. How it was able to fit in there, given its size, baffled me. I wanted to yell for Dennis to run. I really did. Then I remembered what the monster said it'd do to us if we tried anything. Plus, despite the fact having worked there for 2 years, covering shifts, coming in on my days off, and staying well past when I was scheduled to clock out, I was still making under $8 an hour. With that in mind, I didn't really view Dennis as life risk worthy.
Dennis,
it said. He turned around. When he did, I almost thought he was going to have a heart attack. He was acting as if he had a scream that wouldn't come out. On instinct, he began swinging one of his tools in an attempt to defend himself. He grabbed the tool out of hand and crushed it using little effort.
It's been a long time since we last met,
it said. Its face was only inches from his. You two know each other? I said, wondering how Dennis could possibly know something so disturbing in appearance. He somehow found his voice again. I don't know this thing. Why would I?
Because you made me like this. Do you remember what happened in Vegas?
Dennis's eyes lit up with recognition. No, Freddy?
That's right.
Does anybody want to fill us in here? Ray asked. It answered, not taking its eyes off Dennis.
Back in the 90s, he and I worked at the location in Las Vegas. What he proposed was us hitting casinos and betting money we would save it up. We pulled it together.
Did you guys lose all the money? I asked it.
No. In fact, we won a lot. It all went great until he stole the earnings and left.
It pointed a finger at Dennis, poking his chest. Wait, I said. Does that mean you were human before?
It does. After telling my wife what happened, she left with the kids. I spent the next 10 years in shelters or on the streets. One night, I was sleeping in the park, and I woke up to him shaking me.
Who?
I'm not sure exactly what he was. All I knew for sure was that he wasn't human.
How could you tell?
His eyes were like a snake's. He said one thing to me. That was all it took for me to follow him. He asked if I wanted revenge. Memorizing the ritual that turned me into this wasn't the hard part. The hard part was tracking Dennis down and waiting for the right moment to perform it.
Look, Freddy, I'm sorry, he protested. He tried moving towards the door. Freddy grabbed him by the throat, lifting him off the floor.
Sorry would have been not running off with the money. Sorry would have been returning the money after realizing the error of your ways. Apologizing over 20 years later, only when your life's on the line, is a desperate plea to save yourself from what you deserve. To be honest, I was not surprised to find you working for this company again. I guess your addiction cost you most of the earnings. Isn't that right?
Freddy dropped him to the floor and grabbed him by his legs. Alvin! Ray, help me! Dennis pleaded. I know you need us to, Ray replied. Thing is, we like living, you know. Living, and Freddy here said he'd kill us if we tried anything. Although my opinion of Dennis was really low at this point, I also didn't want him to get killed. With that being said though, there wasn't really anything we could do to help him. I mean, maybe we could have used the knives. However, that'd be like arming ourselves with a stick while fighting a grizzly bear. We could only watch in terror at what happened next. Dennis began protesting that we'd be fired if we didn't, as Freddy was dragging him out the back door. Dennis' nails scraped against the floor as he tried resisting. He grabbed the door frame and promised us $2 raises if we helped him. Shortly after being yanked away from the door, Dennis was put into Freddy's car. We followed, wondering what exactly was going to happen.
Thanks for helping, you two.
Freddy grinned, to which we could only nod in response, too frightened by his smile to say anything. His gnarled and sharpened teeth unnerved the hell out of me. What unnerved me even more was how he fit back into his car. He started to stretch himself. The sound of his bones snapping and popping as they rearranged themselves was clearly audible, as he did this enough for him to fit into the driver's side of his car. I suspect this was how he was able to hide in the back room without anyone noticing. He cranked up his car and proceeded to drive to the exit, starting from the drive-thru. The runic symbols his car approached lit up with flames right before he drove over them. Each one was a different colored flame. We watched all of this in amazement. All the while we could see Dennis with tears streaming down his face as he banged on the back windshield as he was screaming for our help. The last we saw of him and Freddy was when the car was driving over the last symbol. Its flame was an angry red. Right as Freddy was driving over it, something appeared above his car. I can only describe this thing as kite-like. Its body only vaguely resembled a diamond shape, and its head was similarly shaped. It regarded us briefly with its bright eyes. Honestly, the thing hurt to look at. It was as if we were seeing a living magic eye picture. I'm thinking it was probably a demon or something. Either way, I hope I'm never on the receiving end to whatever it did to Dennis. Its body stretched, enveloping Freddy's car, and it vanished, causing the rune's flame to go out simultaneously as a result. Man, I'd hate to be where he is now, Ray said after some moments of awkward silence. Yeah, I agreed, not having fully processed what I had seen not even a minute ago. By the way, does this make us accessories to murder? Ray thought for a moment. Technically, I think. It won't come as a surprise to learn that we quit that night. Naturally, we had to come up with an explanation for Dennis's seemingly vanishing off the face of the earth. Thankfully, our bare explanation served well. Although it was unusual behavior for one, the police couldn't dismiss the claw marks in the fryer, or the ones on the floor, which meant we avoided any legal trouble. Nobody could really blame us for wanting to quit right away, which saved us the trouble of having to clean up everything. So that's another silver lining in addition to not getting charged with anything, I guess. I talked with Ray sometimes about what happened after we quit. We came to the conclusion that for our safety and sanity, the answer as to what happened to Dennis and what that thing was were best left unfound. Sometimes my mind wanders to the kite thing. I say demon. That's only a guess, though. What I do know is that I will never work for an Arby's again. However, I will still eat there when I can because I think their food is pretty good. Solid fries and tenders. Tonight's story is My Last Arby's Nightmare by Rose Black. He's a talented author. His links will be in the description below. Please check him out. Also, I now have merch. If you would like to walk around representing my realm and gaining me new travelers, the links will be in the description below. Also, as always, I want to give a special thank you to my lovely Patreons. 242 Reads, Rando Calrissian, Silver Threads, Pam, Seraphine, the Midnight Bard, and Hair-Raising Narratives. If you'd like to join these lovely travelers by the light of my fire, you can do so by becoming a Patreon as well. The support is always appreciated, but never expected. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ding that bell for all future content.
And as always, travelers, once you step into my realm, there's no stepping out.